Welcome to the Custodial Support Forum, where each episode we discuss issues related to one of the largest problems in America, child support. Hi, my name is Kai Patterson, and I'm your host. In this episode, we'll discuss issues related to non-custodial parents with child support warrants. And we're going to talk to a fugitive recovery agent, yes, a bounty hunter, who hunts down and apprehends individuals with child support warrants.
Are you owed child support?
Does the non-custodial parent of your children avoid your calls, hide their income and assets, or has relocated to prevent paying child support?
The Custodial Support Foundation provides you with the services to begin receiving the child support your children need.
Call 855-851-HELP now to receive the help your children deserve.
Welcome back. We're discussing issues related to non-custodial parents with child support warrants and the use of fugitive recovery agencies in addition to law enforcement agencies to apprehend non-custodial parents. Carl.
Yes, sir.
As a fugitive recovery agent, what is needed for you to be able to apprehend an individual with a child support warrant?
Well, that's actually what is needed, Kai, a warrant. And once we have the warrant, we just need a contract signed for payment to execute the warrant.
So basically, once you have a warrant, and once there's a payment arrangement made, you can go out and exercise the warrant.
Yeah, we can go out and exercise the warrant.
Okay.
Anywhere.
I mean,
so if a custodial parent can, because I just want everyone to get in the right mindset to see how this whole process works. So if I know that there is a warrant for, as a custodial parent, know that there's a warrant out for the non-custodial parent, do I come straight to you and say, well, I have a warrant, can you pick them up?
Well, there's a problem there. There's an issue there.
That's what I want to know, because
don't worry, we're going to talk about that. Because the next question is, what does it cost? What would you typically charge to apprehend someone?
Well, if she was to actually come to us
directly,
yeah. I believe that she would not actually exercise our rights to be able to do that for her, because it's very expensive.
What are we talking?
We're talking an average of like $3,000 maybe.
So about $3,000, and that
depends on their arrears.
It depends upon how far you have to go.
Yes, because
how far you have to go to apprehend.
Yeah, we have to go out of state. We have to pay for, lodging, travel, gas, tolls,
custodial parent go about doing it without paying those fees? Is that something they have to put in their order, or?
Actually, that's something. It's an expense. It's an expensive collection, and what can be done is you can ask a judge to include in an enforcement order the expenses of collecting. A judge may or may not grant those expenses, just like a judge may or may not grant legal fees.
Right.
It depends on the case, on a case-by-case basis.
But if a judge grants it...
Right, but you can ask for it, and the thing is that in light of the fact that that order is for violating usually that judge's previous order, it's the kind of issue like attorney's fees that judges are often inclined to do specifically or often because they don't like when people don't comply with their orders. So that's a reason that you always should ask for something like that in your expenses.
But you've got to know to ask.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you need to ask.
This is what I'm trying to get
you have to know. You have to know to ask.
But if it's in your enforcement order, then the non-custodial parent, non-paying arrears would be the one responsible for that cost.
Now, Carl, if your agency was handed an enforcement order with the fees to be paid by the non-custodial parent, and let's say there was a collection agency attached to the agreement, would you take on the case?
Okay. That's the total package there.
Okay.
You're talking about a custodial parent with an enforcement order,
Okay.
with a warrant,
Okay.
with a collection agency they're enrolled in
Okay.
order for them
or they have an agreement with the collection
Yeah, they have
agency.
Right.
they're enrolled in a program that has an agreement with the collection agency to seize and liquidate the non-custodial parents' assets.
In the event that they don't have the money.
Right, in the
Okay.
event they don't have the
I
money.
see where you're coming from
Yeah,
now.
so they also get this collection agency to actually go out to collect. That means we're going to be guaranteed payment. And if
As long as they can collect.
Yeah, if they can collect.
But you're willing to take the case on for the risk. You're willing to take on the risk, take on the risk to go out and collect, knowing that the non-custodial parent is going to be their assets are going to be seized.
Right, they're responsible for the payment, and
Okay.
that's all it takes, Kai. I mean, it's a matter. Once that happens, you can the custodial parent can pretty much guarantee that
You
this
guys will
person
go after-
will be apprehended.
Yeah.
Now we're going after him,
Okay.
because we're going to get him. In
Okay.
other words, he's going to get
Right.
got. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if.
Right, because if they're accepting the compensation, they know that they have to find them.
Right,
Because you're not going to get paid unless you apprehend.
Because that's the point I was getting at for custodial parents who are out there to say, you don't want them thinking that they can just go straight to the bounty order and think a bounty hunter agency, thinking that they're going to
Fugitive
just be
recovery
able
agents is what they like to be called.
Fugitive recovery
Okay.
agency,
Okay.
to just take their order to them and think that they're going to be able to get something done. For all the custodial parents out there, and that's why I keep going back to that question of how do they get it, what is the process, how much it's going to cost, because you'll have floods of people just going to bounty hunters saying that the non-custodial parent has a warrant, and they're going to be turned around, and they're going to be, said that it's going to cost $3,000 or whatever amount of dollars, and that's a few. Or that's a balloon inflated, and then if they feel like they hit a brick wall, or they was given misinformation. So they have to know that you have to include it in your
Order.
motion, in your order.
In the
You know
motion,
what
in
the
the
thing
motion.
is, or
In the
they
motion.
might turn them around and say, heck, this is great and all that, but you need an enforcement of litigants' rights in order to have him pay it.
Exactly, but
And the
that's
thing is
one
that-
less thing that I would like for a custodial parent have to worry about.
Right.
Is being turned around yet again, because you're dealing with enough, and you don't want to have to be running around from A to Zinc trying to be able to collect your arrears.
Well, there are organizations that will actually step you through the process. And there are attorneys that will actually hold your hand and step you through the process of getting the enforcement order, including in the motion for the enforcement order, the fees for a fugitive recovery agency, getting a collection agency to agree to collect the arrears and enter into an agreement, and then getting a fugitive recovery agent to accept a contract whereby they would be paid from the collected fees by the collection agency.
Right, so their child support arrears would not be, those
Deducted.
fees won't be
Yeah,
taken
deducted.
out of.
That's right.
Well, you know,
Okay, so
that-
this is the information that they need to know.
It
that
actually
custodial parents need to
depends
know.
on the program that does these kind of things. Like some
Correct.
collection agencies will take the money right out of the arrears.
Well,
it just
and,
depends on the collection agency.
And that's the key. Most custodial parents, they have to understand that if you don't have the fees in the enforcement order for the collection agency as well, you're going to hit a brick wall, because then or you're going to have to consent to having your child support arrears deducted in order to pay the fees, which is clearly not the best move for a custodial parent.
And that's,
Well,
it's very unfortunate, because 99.9% of custodial parents do not know this information,
Well, now
because it
they-
is not shared.
Exactly, and that's why it's important. It was important for us to discuss this as a topic. Well, that's going to pretty much conclude how much time we're able to spend on this topic. However, we want you to stay tuned, and because we're going to we're going to bring you back. We're going to talk about. Matter of fact, I want to bring you back and talk about, some of the cases that you've been involved with, with apprehending individuals, because I think this is a very important topic. I think that custodial parents, as well as attorneys, because attorneys need to know this, because I've spoken to many custodial parents that are not aware that, or never were even told by their attorneys that they could use the services of a fugitive recovery agency to go out and apprehend a non-custodial parent that has a warrant. Because as you said, Alex, you can get the warrant in the enforcement order, but if nobody's going to collect or nobody's going to apprehend the individual, then it's pretty much a futile process.
And one piece for attorneys, I have to say, having services like this, because quite honestly, attorneys, their job is to do the motions and the orders and go to court. Their job is not to race around the country trying to find a defendant who's not paying. So for an attorney, it actually is convenient because they know that they can outsource to somebody who will be apprehending. But unfortunately, even finding someone in this field can be difficult to find someone who is competent and all of those things. So
and not going to charge you up front.
Well, and the fallback I would say would be for someone who doesn't want to take the time. The fallback is going to be local law enforcement. It's going to be, I can't collect for you, so just wait for the police.
Wow, that's sad, but it's good to know that there are organizations and there are mechanisms within the system to enable the use of individuals like yourself who specialize in hunting down individuals with warrants. Well, that's going to conclude our show. Thank you, and stay tuned for our next episodes.